Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to Faith Place Sunday School, November. Um, this month, the subject is the power of gratitude. For full disclosure, I knew I wanted to do something on gratitude because of this month, and I was praying and asking for direction, and one day I was looking at, and I found a daily devotional by Joyce Meyer, and it said, "The Power of Gratitude." And I read it and I thought, okay, that's it. I was excited. So, our objective this month is to give an understanding of the power of gratitude and how it can have a positive effect on every aspect of our lives. Good morning, Sister Hines. The scripture is 1 Thessalonians 5:18. Give thanks in all circumstances, for this is the will of God in Christ Jesus for you. And like I said, I was searching and trying to come away for the suggestion, the idea for this month. And like I said, I read Joyce Meyer, so I'm going to read that, if you don't mind, to give you what I saw. It says, when you are hurting, it might seem like being thankful is a difficult thing to do, but being thankful is very powerful. No matter what has been done to us that is unjust, God will bring justice and has promised to even give us double for our former trouble. Isaiah 61:7. We all have things to be thankful for, no matter how many difficulties we might be facing. Focusing on what is good in your life will really help because what we focus on becomes larger than what we don't focus on. It's like the pastor always talk about the power of the mind. Focusing on thinking about and talking about your pain and the injustice done to you only make them seem larger and more impossible to deal with. And it will sink you into depression and that, oh, woe is me mindset. I can promise you from God's word and my experience, as well as the experience of many others, that God won't let you down. He will bring justice. He will pay you back for what you have lost or missed out on in life. No one can tell you exactly when that will happen, but while you wait, be thankful and know that God's timing in your life will be perfect. If God promised it, it will come to pass because he is not a man that he should lie. So we can stand on that. Not only is being thankful a good and powerful thing to do, but it is also God's will that we do so. You may not feel like being thankful, but do it on purpose and do it often. A purpose-driven life. It will make you feel better and your joy will increase because you are focusing on something positive. You can even thank God for things that have not happened yet, believing that he is faithful and that the reality of his promises will soon be seen in your life. You can thank God that he is working in your life and that his justice is on its way to you. Good morning. You can thank God that your past doesn't have to define you because you know that he has a good future planned for you. Usually, we want to see something before we will believe it is true, but God requires that we believe and trust in his word even before we see the answer to our prayer. That's called faith. We have to have faith. Jesus said that if we believe, we will see the glory of God. John 11:40. God's word says that we should be anxious for nothing, but in all things pray with thanksgiving. Philippians 4:6. Be sure to notice that he said pray with thanksgiving. Just think about that, a thankful heart. You know, it's kind of hard when you think about it, having a thankful heart when you're going through trials and tribulations. It is difficult. But when you're walking with Christ, you are a new creation. So that means you don't do things or behave or shouldn't behave in the way that you used to. Go back to, like to say, go back to your old ways. That old person is not there, so how can you go back to your old ways if that person is not there anymore? Anyone can ask God for something they want, but spiritual maturity is required for someone to be thankful before they get what they want. I can assure you that God is working in your life right now. You may not feel anything or see anything changing, but in time you will. You have many victories that are on their way to you, so don't give up. The enemy is going to fight you. Once you give your life to Christ, you are his enemy, and especially when you're on the precipice of a major breakthrough, a blessing, you know, he's going to not hold back at all. Sister Jackie says, yes, being thankful on purpose can release any frustration or tension and gives you a fresh perspective. That is true. You know, when I am, something that I do, when I am feeling attacked by the enemy, during that time, I go into worship. I go into worship and telling God how amazing he is, and my mind, I'm giving him a black eye because he expects me to, like Job, curse God and die. No, I'm in this for the long haul. I'm not wishy-washy. I'm not in and out when the seasons change. Once you give your life to Christ, you gave it to him. You can't take it back and then give it back and then take it back. No. So once you make that decision that you're ready to walk with God, walk with him. He didn't say it's going to be easy. I can promise you it's not. But what's that poem of the footprints? Sometimes if you stop and think about it during your hard times, you can, if you look back and it's like, okay, God, you were carrying me through this. I may have felt like I was alone, but you had me through this all. You may not feel anything, like I said, or see anything changing, but in time you will. You can't give up. You have many victories that are on their way to you, so don't. God may deliver us little by little, but each little victory is one step closer to total restoration. When I read that, I thought, okay, I can see the direction for this. And like I said, I prayed and I started researching it. And I was amazed at what the power of gratitude would do in your life. Next week, I will be talking about spirituality. And the following week, I'm talking about health and well-being, how gratitude affects your health and your well-being in every aspect of your life, like I said. The fourth Sunday is the week of Thanksgiving. And I will be talking about some things, but I want people to act in that Thanksgiving. You know how some people have um, what they do before they eat on Thanksgiving, they go around the table and say what they're grateful for. How would you like? I would like to do that for that Sunday. Give a head start for Thanksgiving Day and tell what you're grateful for. I think that would be good. I think it would be. What exactly is gratitude? The true meaning of gratitude is a deep appreciation for the goodness in your life, recognizing it as a gift that is not always earned or deserved, like grace. Gratitude is an emotion similar to appreciation. The American Psychological Association more specifically defines this phenomenon as a sense of happiness and thankfulness in response to a fortunate happenstance or tangible gift. Gratitude is both a state and a trait. Better explained, one can experience gratitude for someone or something at a certain moment in time, and someone experiences gratitude more long term as a positive character trait. It involves a two-step process. Excuse me. First is the acknowledgement of goodness in one's life. In a state of gratitude, we say yes to life. We affirm that all in all, life is good and has elements that make it worth living. The acknowledgement that we have received something gratifies us, both by its presence and by the effort the giver put in choosing it. I think that would be a good idea too, Jackie. Not just you can give something, what you're grateful for God or for somebody. Somebody might have been important in your life and been there for you during hard times and helped you through some things. So, yeah, be ready. Second, gratitude is recognizing that sources of this goodness come from external sources, like other people or God, rather than just yourself. So tell on it. One can be grateful to our Creator, other people, animals, and the world, but not to oneself. At this stage, we recognize the goodness in our lives and who to thank for it. I think sometimes people just look at the big things. They may say, oh, life isn't good, but if you break it down, if you don't look, you step back, if somebody else see your life, they may wish that they had what you have. You have a family, you eat every day, you have a home, you have love in your life, you have more than what you may think you have if you don't stop and just look in your life and see what's there. What they used to say, count your blessings. And if you do, and not look at the big things, but the small ones, it's the small ones that really count. Because if like on Christmas morning, the kids have a list of things. And I remember one year, my niece, I call her my niece, she was my cousin, but she was like a niece. The entire living room was filled with toys and gifts for her. And I promised you, I want to say noon, but I'll say by 2. She was just sitting around looking, and what's wrong with you? I'm bored. You have an entire living room full of toys and gifts for you, and a few hours later, you're bored. Maybe that's not what she wanted. Stuff is not always fulfilling. Stuff, things cannot fulfill an emotional need or desire. But people go by and get stuff to fill the hole. You have these extremely wealthy people who just buy 3, 4, 5 homes. How many homes do you need? It's 12 months in a year, but you're going to rotate all these homes throughout the year. I do spring here, do fall there, do summer here, I do winter there. How is that home? It's a house, vacation spot. I can't believe that you can feel so cozy and comfortable in something that you're hardly there, like a hotel room. But when you go home, you have a history. You have memories there. So, yeah, sometimes stuff don't fill that hole. You need something else. But they don't know this, they don't think about it, and they just go get more and more stuff. Hello. And that stuff, like I say, that stuff don't fill an emptiness that you may feel inside. Second, gratitude is recognizing that sources of this goodness come from external sources like other people, God, rather than just yourself. One can be grateful to our Creator, but at this stage, we recognize the goodness in our lives and who to thank for it. The 2 stages of gratitude comprise the recognition of the goodness in our lives and then how this goodness comes to us. Through this process, we recognize the blessings of everything that improves our lives and ourselves. Good morning, Carolyn Bell. Beyond a fleeting emotion, gratitude is a conscious practice of acknowledging value, expressing thanks, and allowing that appreciation to lead to a more generous and hopeful outlook on life. Because if you just think about it, how do you want your life to be? Because if you on the last leg or stage of your life, I don't think you're going to think about, well, I didn't get that purse I wanted, or the shoes. I never got the shoes, or the outfit, or any name brand or thing like that. I think you may reflect on something personal, like your family, the time you spent, if you had kids, all the memories of them throughout their life, all the things that you did together. What do you think? Do you think you're going to focus on stuff when you are in your last stage of life? Especially when you nearing the moment when you're about to leave this life. I don't think that you're going to think about, oh, I really wanted that, whatever that is. It may seem important now, but if you stop and think about it, when you have that relationship with God, that's what's important. Biblical gratitude is the power of giving thanks to God in all circumstances, which strengthens faith, brings peace, and glorifies God. All circumstances, not just when everything is good. Not just when you got what you prayed for, you asked for, or you got a living room full of presents on Christmas morning. Because even that, I think she was about 6 at that time, even that 6-year-old realized and knew that all those toys wasn't fulfilling to her. Good morning, good morning. That it was something else. Maybe she wanted to spend time with her mother. I don't know. We're talking about the power of gratitude and how it has a fundamental effect on our lives, on every aspect of our lives. It is an active practice that shifts focus from troubles to God's goodness, builds resilience, and deepens one's relationship with Him. By giving thanks, believers are instructed to remember past blessings, find perspective in hardship, and live in the present. Good morning. In the present moment, which guards against envy and strengthens their testimony to others. I have a question. Sister Jackie says having gratitude means that no matter where I am in life, I am thankful to God for just the air I breathe, and that's just the beginning. That is true, especially if you're an asthmatic like me. If you're gone without air, when you can start breathing good, you're very grateful for air. You know, that might be something small to someone who don't have an issue with that. And if you have difficulty walking, I was watching a couple of videos this week. A little girl, she was real young. I think she had surgery on her legs because she's always was in a wheelchair or something, or barely walking. She was walking. That, and I'm sure her parents felt much gratitude for that, you know. Or even when you have and I've seen so many, you have a newborn and your baby gets to the point where they walk for the first time. You know, you want this and you're so excited, but then when they start getting to everything, you forget, like, oh, I wanted this. So I have a question. How do you feel when people show you gratitude when you do something for them? Sister Jackie, you all. How do you feel? Uplifting. It's uplifting. Anyone else? Grateful? Yeah. It feels good. You feel appreciated. Yeah. And feel for you. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm. It was Mitzi Day. Mm-hmm. 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 That's wonderful. Neither will we. Yeah. It makes you feel good when you appreciate it. Sister Amber, how do you feel when people show you gratitude for something you may have done for them? Right. Even if they don't do it out in the open, even if they just come to you and say, you know, what you did for me, I really appreciate it. You don't know. Right. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right. Evangelist Wiley. Yeah. Right. 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 Mm-hmm. It is, because I'm like that. I don't, and I struggle with that because it's, you know, I do things for what's in my heart to give to people, to try to bless people. And when they come back to me, it's like I feel it's uncomfortable because I didn't do it for recognition. I did it because it was in my heart. And, but when, what do you feel when someone blesses you? How does that make you feel when someone thinks of you and want to be a blessing to you? Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Hmm. Right. That's true. Yes, it does. Random acts of kindness. Yes, it does. I guess he was calling, you know, you, it was a raw missionary. That was your wife who was speaking. Your husband was like, why don't you have a mic? 'Cause um, but it is humbling. It is. I struggle with if people want to be a blessing to me because I feel like I need to reciprocate. And God had to work with me on that because if somebody thinks of me as something, I'm thinking, okay, I need to reciprocate. I need to give back my thanks. Um, shut up. I'm talking to your husband. Um, so I feel like I just want to give something back. And God had to help me understand that I'm messing up their blessing. Because if I'm giving back to them and reciprocating for what they did for me, that stops him. Because if they did it um, out of the kindness of their heart, yeah, I can hear you. Yeah. When you when he said that you would turn down a blessing, when but God let me know because one day it was becoming for Sunday school, and I got hardly any sleep the night before. And if I don't get enough sleep, I don't want to drive because that's just equivalent to drunk driving. And the Lord was showing me, you're getting a ride. And he showed my neighbor. And when I put my coat on and everything and I was walking out, she was just standing there in the middle of the sidewalk. I hadn't even opened my door. And when I walked out, we spoke and and we had a little chat. So then I started walking to the bus stop, and she stopped me, and she says, "Well, I'm going past you, so come on." And we had a talk, and I realized, and God let me know that He is going to bless her because she did what He suggested, He told her to do. What if they don't show gratitude? And I've experienced this. You want to be a blessing to someone, that they're being ungrateful. Is it? No. Right. And what they do with, right. You did what you, right. Right. Exactly. Thank you. Yes. Mm-hmm. Right. Right. I agree. Michael Wiley says, I don't think it is people being ungrateful all the time. Sometimes folks just don't know how to receive. And that is true. I'm right. My mother used to say, because people would, she would give a lot, and she would give to beggars on the street or whatever. And people would say, you shouldn't do that. You don't know what they're doing it for. And she says, I gave it out of my heart. What they do with it is on them. Because once you release it, if God tells you, especially if God tells you to do something, or you just feel in your heart, I want to be a blessing to someone, what happens after that exchange is no longer, you did your part. You did what you were supposed to do. Because when you come to Christ, you're a new creation. So you do things as of the Lord. Yeah. Exactly. Right. Right. Yes. Yes. Mm-hmm. Right. 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 He keeps saying you need a mic. That is true because, like I say, sometimes if you stop and think about it, it's not always the big things that matter in your life. Um, if you're sick, just think about it. If you're sick, you want to be healed. But if you're not sick, you're not thinking about that because that's not pertinent to your life. If you have a big family and it's a lot of love and conversation, um, you don't think about the people who don't have that. Because I was reading something and they were saying that people should take kids, for Halloween to the senior citizen to so they can go trick or treating there because and they were saying that they talk about it days and days later about their experience with the kids because some people don't have visitors. Some people can be in a hospital and don't get visitors or a nursing home and don't have visitors. But you at home with your big family enjoying your life, you don't think about that because that's not your circumstance. So you don't go to God for something like that because that's not your need. You do. Yeah. Yeah. Right. Every family, just it's all across the board. Right. Right. Hmm. Right. 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 Hmm. Yes. Right. Everything. Hmm. Hmm. Yes. Hmm. Right. Right. But see, that's the thing. A lot of people don't think like that. A lot of people don't stop there and, like I said, count their blessings because people have a tendency to look at the big stuff. Like you said, your parents. I lost both my parents before I was 40. So and then when I had the one day I had a realization that there's no one above me, and that kind of hit hard. You don't think about that until you're in that place. You don't think about it, what somebody else is going through because you're not there. But it's okay to appreciate what you have. But sometimes you do need to stop and be thankful and count your blessings and realize that you are blessed. People think blessing means everything is perfect. There is no perfect. There is no perfect. They thinking that, you know, everything is just great. You have enough money. You have your beautiful home. There's no problem. Even if you buy a big, pretty house, it settles. You have to fix this crack. You get this crack and this problem and this problem. You have things that you need to take care of this big, beautiful house that you have. Does that take away from that house being big and beautiful? No. You still have this big, beautiful house, but you need to upkeep. You need to take care. Your life, you might have gotten that degree. You might have been blessed to get a job right away. You might, but there are things that you have to do. You have to keep doing training, keep doing whatever route that you take. There's things that you have to do to keep it up. You know? Exactly. You have to. Right. Mhm. Yeah. Right. Because he didn't have to. He saved you. So you got a chance to see him. Hmm. It is. There's nothing more. I was thinking about, the Christmas season's coming up. And I think it was last year. I was in the store and this baby, I think she might have been her first Christmas. And the laughter, nothing's like a child's laughter. This baby was so excited seeing all the Christmas decorations and it just did something to me because this little precious baby was excited. You forget, just sometimes you forget the simple things, and sometimes you have to stop because there are times sometimes when things aren't going right and my mind is, I'm trying to get my mind right, and I will look up and see a beautiful sunset, and that will kind of take me out of it, that mood I was in, or get out of my car and I'm seeing a rainbow, and I'm like, oh, thank you for the rainbow. Something that you see that's God's handiwork. Key components of gratitude: acknowledgement. Gratitude is recognizing that something good has happened and that you are receiving a benefit. This can be for things big and small, from beautiful sunrise to a helping hand from a stranger. Appreciation for the source. Gratitude understands that the goodness has a source outside of yourself, whether it is the kindness of another person, a spiritual being, or the systems that support your life. Expression of thanks. Showing your appreciation through words or actions reinforces the value of the gift and can motivate you to give back to others. A deeper practice. Moving beyond simply feeling thankful to living a grateful life, which means seeing the extraordinary in the ordinary and finding reasons for appreciation even in challenging times. A virtue. For many, gratitude is a virtue that involves humility and recognition, your dependence on others shaping a more positive and less self-centered perspective. Why it's important. It strengthens relationships. Expressing gratitude fosters stronger bonds with others, improves well being. Practicing gratitude is linked to benefits like lower stress, less anxiety, higher self esteem, and greater life satisfaction. Encourages generosity. A grateful heart is often motivated to give to others in turn. Why is living a life of gratitude important? Living a life of gratitude is essential because it can make you feel happier and more content. That's when we talk about thinking about the little things that you have and realizing, like you said, Kelly, you didn't realize everybody didn't have two parents in the home. So that makes you appreciate what you have and that they're both still alive at this time. That is a blessing. By focusing on what you're thankful for, you're training your brain to spot the good in life. It helps you reduce stress and make challenges more manageable. Gratitude helps people focus on the positive aspects of their life. Gratitude can help build and maintain relationships with others, resulting in hope, life satisfaction, and more proactive behaviors toward others. The positive effect of experiencing and expressing gratitude are endless. So it's not just experiencing it, but expressing it as well. That's a big deal. So in short, gratitude can make your days brighter. And like I say, when I first started researching this topic, you'd have thought I was doing another thesis. Because it was just so much information. I'm like, oh, that is so good. Oh, that's good. And I'm trying to dwindle it down. But it was so much, and I didn't realize how just having a mind or heart of gratitude can affect you. And I hope that this month, people will see and take stock into because I believe that sometimes you need to stop and take stock of your life. When I was in undergrad, I was taking this particular class. It was a listening class. And before we were giving, because usually the level psych students signs up to be subjects in our training. We use them with our trainings. And before because we were giving a male and a female, and before we were able to meet with them, we had to do a self-assessment because they wanted us to determine if you're a people person or what kind of person you are, so that if you know a lack in you, that you will make some adjustments when you start working with. Because if you're not a people person, but you're in a psych class and you're meeting with someone and you have to make adjustments like, okay, I don't like people. So I need to adjust myself so that I can realize that, this may not be for me. I need to get someplace that I'm not dealing with the public, because it takes a lot to deal with the public. Everyone is not, and like you, Sis Amber, when you're dealing with people who are sick, that takes it on a whole new level, because people are not always their best selves when they're sick. Or with me, with psychology, you're meeting them in a negative space in their life. And who don't like people? Oh, if you don't like people. Yeah, if you don't like people, you need to realize, okay, what is the best spot for me? Where do I need to work? I need to be in an office, or I need to be in the lab or someplace by myself, so I can just do what I need to do mechanically and whatever, and not deal with the public. Because dealing with the public, you need a little bit extra. And I've dealt with the public. When I think about every job I've ever had since high school, I'm dealing with the public. So it takes a little something more to do that. With that being said, I hope there was something said that'll get us started for this month, because I'm excited about the information that I was able to find, and I hope it becomes a blessing for you. And if you in Chicago, not just the South Side, you can come to the South Side, because I drove to the North Side for years. So 71st and Stewart, Michael's not here to counter me, but come to 71st Stewart, to Faith Place Chicago. you will have a worship experience that you would never believe. So with that, God bless you and have a blessed day.